Population replacement?
Yes, in my view, that's simply a factual observation that the population of our country is changing. There is a demographic transition, a process of population replacement, whatever you want to call it, going on. Yes, that's just a factual observation. And what's really behind it, you could have a whole discussion about that as well. But if we continue on the current path, the composition of the population in the Netherlands will change. That's something that's absolutely clear. If you have eyes, you can see it.
Of course, population replacement is often used with a negative connotation, for example, in relation to perhaps even the Second World War or similar periods.
Yes, I think the reasoning is often reversed there. So I don't think that comparison really holds up. But yes, once again, population replacement, I think it's even in the dictionary, if you just look it up, it's simply the factual change in your population composition. Yes, what are we looking at? If things continue like this, then in a number of years, a few decades, the Dutch will be a minority in their own country. In the big cities, that's already the case right now. That's something, again, anyone with eyes can see, so...
It's often said, I think, and then I also know that it's a deliberate policy by the government to, so to speak, change the composition of the country.
Yes, that's of course the second question, right? Did this population replacement happen by accident, or is it happening deliberately? That's something you can indeed have a discussion about. What we do know for sure is that the current policy and the policy of the past decades also, anyone with eyes could see that if you throw the borders wide open, your population composition is going to change. So to say, yes, we didn't see any of this coming, that's obviously not a credible story. And moreover, people like Frans Timmermans already said years ago, Europe will be diverse. I mean, there was definitely a certain direction and there was a goal to achieve that diversity as well. And with that, yes, to accelerate the Dutch becoming a minority.
But do you think there is a deliberate strategy behind this, for example, by this cabinet to bring about population replacement in our society?
What I see is a cabinet that is not seriously working on limiting or stopping the influx of asylum seekers. And this is the consequence.
So you're basically saying this cabinet is contributing to population replacement?
Yes.
Yes, which will probably cause a lot of commotion again now. Because people will say, well, it's not like this cabinet is systematically putting its own population on the back burner at the expense of mass immigration, is it?
But what have we seen in the past few weeks? So there are people standing there, demonstrating, peacefully protesting, day after day. The only thing that gets attention is, the negative incidents that have come out of that. That shouldn't happen. Everyone agrees on that, but it's not about the concerns of that large group of people. Jet organized an emergency meeting yesterday. Last week, she spoke with KOA employees. During that emergency meeting, the discussion was about how municipalities can be helped to improve asylum reception. At no point was it about limiting the influx of asylum seekers, and that is the solution to the problem. So if you're not working on that, then apparently you don't want to solve the problem.
But that's something different from the deliberate replacement of society.
Yes, but those things aren't mutually exclusive, are they?
So this cabinet is doing exactly that.
I said the policy of this cabinet leads to replacement. Yes, that's just a fact.
If we look at the proportions within Dutch society, right, then we're talking about, yes, 1,000 asylum seekers who come here every week. Of course, it's not the case that immediately, if you just look at people with a Dutch passport, the entire Dutch society is being replaced.
Yes, again, if you look at what the current population composition is in the big cities, and that really is a harbinger for the rest of the Netherlands, there Dutch people are a minority.
But those are still people with a Dutch passport, right? All of them living there. If you're talking about, for example, a big city like Amsterdam, the majority there still just has a Dutch passport. So then you're just talking about the population of the Netherlands, right?
Yes, then you're talking about people with or without a migration background. So if you compare those numbers, then people without a migration background are in the minority.
Then the question remains, yes, who is a Dutch person, right? If you just look at people with a Dutch passport, then of course that's a very large portion regardless of their background. So the question is whether there really is any talk of population replacement.
Yes, of course it would be a bit strange if everyone you just give a passport to is immediately considered Dutch. So that's not how it works in practice, of course. And when exactly? Yeah.
Yes, in the big cities, of course, a lot of people just have yes, they are part of our society with a Dutch passport.
Yes. Is that so? As I indicated earlier, a very large part of those people associate more with the country where their grandparents or sometimes even their great-grandparents come from than with the Netherlands. So yes, if they don't even feel Dutch themselves, how are we supposed to see them as Dutch?